Kash Patel was interviewed again on Fox News, in this case by Brett Baier, to find out what is going on at the FBI. And one of the questions that popped up is what happened to Jeffrey Epstein? And Kash Patel doubled down that Jeffrey Epstein did off himself. So you can imagine that for everything suspicious that surrounds Jeffrey Epstein's demise, this body language that you're about to watch is, well, concerning to say the least.
But there is a lot of conspiracy theories out there.
There are.
The Epstein thing, you dealt with Maria, you said, as far as you know, he killed himself.
I'm telling you, he killed himself.
The other.
A couple of things here. The first thing that I noticed is that Bayer gave a loaded question, but there is a lot of conspiracy theories out there. I wouldn't say that, okay, they are conspiracy theories, but regarding Jeffrey Epstein, I think that they are more like legitimate questions. We have legitimate questions about what happened in that jail cell, with everything that, with all that happened at that moment. So calling it a conspiracy theory outright, or suggesting that this is a conspiracy theory, it seems like he was loading the question with that term. I didn't like it because it's supposed that you should ask neutral questions. And you notice that when Patel agrees, he says that, oh yeah, let me see, play this.
There are.
There are. He says, there are. Apart from that, I would say that he shakes his head more than he nods. Look at this. He shakes his head to his right more than actually nodding. There's a slight evasion in there. You see that? And he looks to his right as well. I'm not going to elaborate on the direction that he is looking. I'm just saying that if you want to affirm something, you could say there are, and just nod. That looking to one side, just let's say a tiny red flag. I'm just going to point it out and make sure that you spot that kind of stuff.
Epstein thing, you dealt with Maria, you said, as far as you know, he killed himself.
And then when he says the words, yeah, I'm telling you he killed himself, he does a long blink, which is evasion. He doesn't want to be there. He doesn't like the question. He doesn't like to be answered that question. When I'm pretty sure that he expected that. That's why I think that maybe he told Brett Baier before the interview that let's address this Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself, like a conspiracy theory. That's just a crazy conspiracy theory out there. And how many times we should have a kind of a bell in here or a counter. How many times the conspiracy theorists have been right? Well, so that long blink is evasion. He doesn't like the question. He says, I am telling you, he killed himself. And, well, he presses his lips. And that lip pressing right after answering. Again, I'm going to take note of that. I'm not going to say, okay, that means that he's lying. No, that doesn't work like this. The body language doesn't work like that. You make sure to point that out just in case this repeats in the future. But then, okay, one thing that I could complain about is that Brett Baier did not re-ask the question, did not ask the question again or in another way. Then he went straight for the Epstein Files.
The thing on the internet is the Epstein Files. What's the answer to that?
The answer to that is the same as everything else.
Okay, one thing is, maybe you did not notice because I had the slow motion section between the two clips that we have seen, but there is an editing chop, okay, right after Kash Patel answers that he definitely killed himself. There's an editing. And you remember that when I analyzed the other Fox News interview of Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, we saw that, oh yeah, after answering those questions, there was an editing as well. Again, these interviews can be edited for clarity, but I don't know. It's such a coincidence, right? That there's no a flow in. You're talking about Epstein offing himself and then the Epstein Files. Why would there be any kind of pause or strange thing between those? Again,
the thing on the internet is the Epstein Files. What's the answer to that?
The answer to that,
He lowers his gaze. The answer to that, you remember that he was looking straight ahead. I could show you another clip here. I could show you in terms of body language baseline. This is him answering another question, just in case, because some of you have doubts that, oh, you're taking things out of context. No, it's in the context of this body language baseline. This is another clip.
to date, this year, we have seized 1,000 kilograms of fentanyl in the United States of America. That's 480 million lethal doses. That's enough to kill everyone in America and Canada combined.
Notice that he is addressing hard facts. He's addressing the fentanyl crisis, and he's always looking into buyer's eyes. He doesn't lower his gaze. Why does he do it when answering about the Epstein Files? Well, you tell me. That is a change in his body language.
The answer to that is the same as everything else.
And there's also that lip pressing again. This is another lip pressing after the one that we saw. That's why I tell you it's important to see what repeats. And no, he did not press his lips in the other answer that he was giving about fentanyl. And he does something that I really hate in terms of, I want to trust you, Kash. I want to trust you. But why you have to say that is the same as everything else? And those are his exact words.
The answer to that is the same as everything else.
The answer to that is the same as everything else. Everything, he is not being asked about everything else. That is not the question. The question is not about everything else. The question is about the Epstein Files. When he says the answer is the same as in everything else, he is diluting, he's making it nebulous, vague, because the topic that they're talking about is the Epstein Files. We don't want to know about everything else. We can understand that maybe the procedures could be similar, but don't include the everything else, or don't mention the everything else, because that is saying that, oh, this is pretty much like everything. All right, yeah, we can understand that, but that is diluting the topic. It's like adding more water to the soup. You dilute it.
I'm not going to withhold information from the American public ever.
I am not going to withhold information from the American public ever. And he leans forward for gravitas. I mean this, and you, might be thinking the same as I do. Okay, that is the bare minimum. That is the bare minimum. Not hide any information from the American public. So you're stating the bare minimum. Those are empty words. That is expected of you.
I'm not going to withhold information from the American public ever. But I'm also not going to rush to get it out there in a format in which they can't rely on it. So
that's another thing that I did not understand. He says that he doesn't want to get that information out there in a format that people don't rely on it. Do you think that if we trust Kash Patel, and I still trust Kash Patel for this job, and I still trust Dan Bongino, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. What is going on? Dan Bongino just said that they have a video proof that Epstein was alone in his cell when he offed himself. And he's about to release that video. And my question is as well, why don't they just release it? And that's it. Why announce it? Make a teaser trailer for that. Or just release it and that's it. It's silly. We want to trust them, but so many signals just don't add up. And the format, we don't care about the format as long as you tell me, okay, the format that you were talking about, that Bindergate, you remember all the influencers with the binders that were a nothing burger because it was information that we had years ago and was heavily redacted. It was black bars. It was like Atlanta. It's like I made a joke already. It's like Atlanta. It was full of black bars. So it has maybe that is the format that people wouldn't rely on. I don't know. Maybe maybe they knew that they F up big time that time. But let's continue.
And it takes time to go through years of investigations, years of political maneuvering, and years of cover-up to get the American people what they deserve. And that's what I'm going to give them on everything.
All right. So he's talking about this, taking time of reviewing all this. So much for Pam Bondi's words that she had the Epstein Files on her desk. You remember that? Infamous words. Okay, we can give Pam Bondi a chance about that. Okay, there's a lot of material to review. You're going to tell me if we only had some kind of, I don't know, app or system or tool that allowed us to review text and images and maybe even video in an automated way, something like an intelligence. Oh yeah, we have it. They could use like in Dodge. It's like people are not reviewing Dodge numbers themselves. They programmed stuff to review through all that. So you tell me that the FBI doesn't have resources. The FBI cannot ask Elon for some help. Some of the kids, the whiz kids at Dodge to help with that reviewing. You know, with so much technology, you're reviewing like that by hand or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm just I say lucubrating. I'm just asking questions here, but so much technology, so much time to digitize everything and run all of that through a machine that analyzes it. I don't know. I'm not buying. Then Brett Baier asks a question.
Yeah. And if somebody says, how long is that going to take? You know, we always see investigations.
I'm going to interrupt Brett Baier here because he asks the question. If somebody asks, how long is this going to take? He extends the question a few more seconds. And when Patel answers, he makes no reference. It is obvious that they are still talking about the Epstein Files. How long is this going to take? How long is this investigation going to take? That is still the topic that they're talking about. But I'm not going to play the clip that follows, the next clip from Patel, because he essentially doesn't mention the Epstein Files or Jeffrey Epstein anymore. He dodges the topic. He begins to talk in general terms, everything else, and the topic is not mentioned again. And it's such a shame that Brett Baier, that's just the thing that I think that it was nice when Brett Baier interviewed Kamala Harris. It was amazing interview, very good video analysis that we could make. But right now, I think there was a lacking of at least re-ask the question. Okay, maybe he did. Maybe they decided to just cut that because of reasons. But I think that he could have gone a bit harder. I think there's something that I'm missing. I'm pretty sure that there's something that I'm missing. I am uploading, by the way, my analysis as threads on X. But there is another thing that I wanted. It was about the Dan Bongino thing. It was about the Dan Bongino thing. But that is my question. Why keep appearing on the TV, on Fox News, and not being asked the actual hardball question, or at least being asked questions in an actual hardball way? This body language, there's a lot of avoidance. There's a lot of doubts in there. There's quite some red flags, quite some stuff that raises suspicions. But again, I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. Anyway, make sure that you look at my analysis, my previous analysis of Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, where they, well, essentially say that, yeah, Jeffrey Epstein did kill himself. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy. Much love and bliss.